Hello and welcome. This is We Talk Football. Um, Today, again, we're going to be talking about the 10 greatest club teams of all time, right? And as I've said previously, this is a series I've done for the past few weeks. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. It's been great looking back at old games, doing a lot of research, watching documentaries on teams. And today I'm going to talk about a team that I didn't have to do a lot of research on because I witnessed them. I watched them at their best. And these are like one of the teams that I'll forever remember when I was growing up and in my early 20s, and it's like when you watch the team, right away one of the greatest of all time. And also another thing to mention, we're in the top three. In the top three. Now, these three teams will be, in my opinion, inarguable. Like, you can't argue against these three teams being the greatest of all time. And you could I think certainly for two of them, you can argue who's at number one. If you say the other one is at number one, I think that would be okay. If you say the other one is at number one, both teams could be number one or two. And also, you could make an argument for today's team, the third greatest club team of all time, right? And This has been an interesting series. Remember, at number 10 was the 2019-2020 Bayern Munich. At 9 was the 1998-1999 Manchester United. At number 8 was the 2007-2008 Manchester United. Again, this time with Cristiano Ronaldo blazing away 42 goals and winning the Ballon d'Or. At number 7, the second treble winning English team, Manchester City of 22-23. And then at number 6, you have the great Real Madrid, the 2016-2017 Real Madrid double winning team. At number 5, you have the 2012-2013 Bayern Munich treble winners. Awesome team, had it all. At number 4, you had the 1988-89 AC Milan team with a fantastic trio, the Dutch trio of Ruud Gullit, Frank Rijkaard, and Marco van Basten. Awesome team. Today, making it at number 3, the 2014-2015 Barcelona. What a team. Like, I can't talk well enough about that team and how great they were. They were out of this world. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of the greatest teams. And as I said, I witnessed them. I watched their games. I was there. I lived through that great Barcelona team. I lived through the great MSN. Messi, Suarez, Neymar. I lived through all the goals they scored, all the beatings they gave to teams. You know what I mean? The schoolings. It was almost like they taught teams how to play football, And, they won a treble. And it felt like they had so many moments throughout that treble where it's like, wow, that's a big game. That's a big moment. Wow, that was huge. Because they won the league. They won the league accumulating 94 points. That's incredible. That's a lot of points. And they did that because Real Madrid got 92. So they absolutely had to have 94 points or else they were never going to win that league, So that was an awesome piece. They won the Champions League. And the teams they went through, that was hard. The route they went through, all awesome teams, and they beat them. They won the Copa del Rey, And of course, like the big moment, like the great final moment that Messi had going through almost half the Athletic Bilbao team, right? Like that goal is played, it's replayed. I don't know how many times I've seen it over and over again, right? And they were just such an awesome team. If you win a treble, you're an all-time team anyway, right? And in the way they did it. Now, like if you talk about the players and the manager, let's start with the players, and I think there's an obvious area around that team where you have to start. The MSN, bro. Like that's the greatest trio, forward trio of all time. It's not a debate. Like you can have Ronaldo, Benzema, Bale, or whoever, Firmino, Suarez, Salah, and Mane. You can have those. There's nothing that compares to Messi, Suarez, Neymar. I mean, like look at this. Firstly, they scored 122 goals that season. Just that season. There are teams that don't score 120 goals in 2 seasons. There are teams that don't get that many goals in 2 seasons. And they managed to get like that in that particular season, just in 1 season. And I just saw like an interesting stat, like from 2014 to 2017, in 3 years, Messi, Suarez, and Neymar scored 363 goals. Just them three. 363 goals. Now I know like this goes on to other seasons, and like we're focusing strictly on this particular 2014-2015 season. But my word, that's insane. And like that just speaks to the greatness of that trio. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't stop them. You couldn't stop them on your best day. You couldn't stop them with your best defense. If Messi didn't score, Suarez, Neymar would score. If Neymar didn't score, you still had Suarez, Messi. If Suarez didn't score, you'd have Neymar, Messi. If 2 of them didn't score, you'd have 1 score, 2 goals, 3 goals. If none of them, if the other didn't score, if 2 didn't score, then you'd have another one scoring a goal, and it just came. They just came at you, and I think like particularly that area for Barcelona, right? When we talk about that season, the front 3, fantastic. They were all world. Like if you had to rank, front 3s. Number 1 is obviously that MSN front trio. Any other answer is incorrect. Any other answer is wrong. But then you also had other great players. Like that was Ivan Rakitic's first season. Also, it was Suarez's first season, because Neymar and Messi were there the previous season. The previous season was Neymar's first season. Now 2014-15 was Neymar's second season, and then they added Suarez to their team. And then it was lights out after that. Like it was good night for everybody. And then you had like Ivan Rakitic, right? And then like he was awesome because he was like I don't want to say he replaced Xavi, but he played in the place where Xavi would have played. Xavi was old. That was his last season with Barcelona. He was still there. He was still the captain. He played a few games here or there. But the main guy was Ivan Rakitic in that number 8 position. And then you had Iniesta and Sergio Busquets doing their thing, like keeping the tempo, playing the ball, passing, controlling the game for Barcelona, making sure that tiki-taka system is still there, you know what I mean? And then you had Dani Alves, Jordi Alba, the fullback pairing. They would bomb on. They would just go. Like they were relentless in their efforts going forward, and that also created a lot of defensive problems for their opponents, because you have MSN to deal with. And then you look up, Dani Alves is overlapping. Jordi Alba is overlapping. And trust, Messi is going to find them. Neymar is going to make runs and find them. Suarez is going to finish the chances they create. And it just came in waves and waves. And then you all, like, if you remember very clearly that season, Barcelona had like two goalkeepers. I think Bravo was the La Liga goalkeeper, and then you also had Marc-Andre ter Stegen as the Champions League goalkeeper, or it was vice versa. I can't really remember exactly, but I think it was vice versa. Ter Stegen for La Liga, Bravo for the UCL, and like I think ter Stegen was great that season, and that's why he's still to this day at Barcelona. He's one of their greatest goalkeepers, and he is, I think, he was important for that system because after Victor Valdez understands the system very well. He grew up in that system, but you needed to add a goalkeeper that was going to seamlessly go into the team and ball play, but also be a really good goalkeeper because you needed that. If you're a very good offensive team, you need good individual defenders, especially the centre backs and your goalkeeper. And Marc-Andre ter Stegen offered that for Barcelona. He was great. And then, like their manager, Luis Enrique, we've just seen him win another treble with PSG. And I think after that season, there were a lot of questions about, Luis Enrique. Is he that great a manager? Is he world class? And I think a lot of questions also rose after his stint coaching this national team, Spain, right? It wasn't that good. They didn't play particularly well. It almost felt like they lacked, like that Spanish identity of like beautiful football, ball possession. It was quite boring. But then, like, I think because he just like all the success he's just had with PSG, like people are looking at it and they're saying, wow, look, this guy is a top coach. And he is. And he was, because that was his first season at Barcelona as well. But he took them to different heights. Because if you remember the previous season, Barcelona had Gerard Martino, I can't remember his name exactly, but Gerard Martino, the head coach. He was from Argentina. They didn't like him. They got rid of him. And the previous season, Barcelona didn't win anything. 13-14, Barcelona didn't win a trophy. They lost La Liga on the last day. I remember Diego Godin scoring a beautiful header in the Camp Nou, ending Barcelona's title chances. They didn't win the Champions League. They didn't win anything. Copa del Rey, nothing. And Luis Enrique came in, won the treble. And this is the second treble with PSG. But that first one with Barcelona was it was awesome. Like, you just remember that season. And now I think I'm glad for Luis Enrique. Like, he'll be seen now properly as one of the best coaches in world football, And the style of play, I mean, this is I forgot to mention this. Like, this is the first Lionel Messi team I'm including in the list. And it's top 3. If you look at that team, they clearly had the identity of, previous Barcelona teams. Beautiful football, almost like total football, where they control possession. They squeeze the life out of you with how much possession they have. They press you very quick. They almost had like this 3-second rule where if they lost the ball, they had to get it back in 3 seconds or less. And you saw all those things. You saw all those, those characteristics in that Barcelona team. But you also saw a different kind of threat moving forward. Just because they had Messi, Suarez, Neymar. they carried a different they carried a different energy up front where it was quick, poisonous. They would just break down your defense and score goals. That's what they just did. And I think they also had a little more counter-attacking ability just because Neymar is rapid. Messi at that point was rapid. Suarez went, and their counter-attacks were hurtful as well. They would score really nice goals on the counter. I mean, if you look at the Bayern Munich game at the Camp Nou, Neymar's goal was a counter-attacking goal. Messi in the middle, beautiful pass as always. Neymar running through with loads of space and great finish. So that's what I mean. Like everyone knows the kind of style that Barcelona has, but also they added the incision, the quickness, the decisiveness going forward, the poison. You know what I mean? And they did it. I like that Barcelona team. That they were fantastic. And big games, like if you talk of big games, they had loads of big games. You know what I mean? And I could just the first one that comes to mind when I think of that game was the Lionel Messi goal versus Jerome Boateng. To this day, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. I'm not saying the way Messi skinned Boateng is the greatest skill of all time, but I'm saying I've never seen anything like that before. Beating a player and he spins around and he falls. I've never seen anything like that before. I've seen if you dribble past a player and they try to tackle you, they are on the floor because they literally tried to tackle you. I've seen, things like that. I've never seen anyone not try to tackle. I mean, he was trying to defend Messi. He wasn't trying to tackle Messi. He wasn't trying to, shoulder barge Messi off the ball. He wasn't running at an extreme pace, tracking back or anything like that. It was just Lionel Messi, Jerome Boateng, and Messi did that. What? And he spun. He literally spun 360, and he fell. And when he also the other thing, Jerome Boateng fell and he faced. When he fell, he was facing the goal, and he could see Lionel Messi chip the ball over Manuel Neuer and score one of the greatest goals. Seriously, one of the greatest goals of all time. That was a huge game. I've watched it a few times because even the energy around the stadium felt big. The Lionel Messi goal, the whole stadium could have went. The whole stadium detonated, bro. The whole stadium could have came down that day. The energy, talking about it, right? I could feel it in my body. My skin is just, because that game was sensational. And so that was a huge game. Beating Athletic Bilbao. Oh, also Manuel Neuer that game was talking big. I'm gonna show Lionel Messi who's boss. And Messi scored 2 goals. The first one near post, the other one chip. Big game. Beating Athletic Bilbao in the Copa del Rey final. That goal by Lionel Messi, as I said, it keeps getting played. If you go on social media, it wouldn't be very hard to find that goal and to watch it. It was just that good. He went through the whole team. At some point, it looked like he had lost control of the ball on the wing, and then he just pushed it around the defender. He went around. Another defender was in front of him, chopped to his left, scored a beautiful goal. Like, that was peak Lionel Messi. That was Ballon d'Or Lionel Messi. That's 58 goals in a season, Lionel Messi. And I think he had 21 assists. 58, 21 assists. Messi was crazy. MSN was crazy. That Barcelona team was crazy. And, like, there's so many games that you could talk about. When they faced Manchester City at the Camp Nou, Lionel Messi nutmegging James Milner. That's another famous clip of Messi nutmegging James Milner and Pep Guardiola sitting in the stands holding his mouth. Huge. You know what I mean? And like like as I said, peak Messi. Crazy little Messi, bro. And then beating Juve in the final as well, 3-1. That was big. And like they just, like, that team felt so big, so good. You know what I mean? And that's why I put them in third. You know? And it's hard to believe that there are two teams that were better than that team. It's hard, but they are. There are two teams better than that team. You know what I mean? And that's a compliment to this Barcelona team. And the degree of difficulty, like I said earlier, right? Real Madrid pushed that Barcelona team to 94 points because they got 92 points. So if Barcelona had slipped once in a game, if they got a draw instead of a win, if they lost instead of draw a game, they wouldn't have won a treble. It wouldn't have been a treble. It wouldn't have been that historic a season for them. You know? The Champions League gauntlet that they had to go through. They went through Arsenal in the last 16. They went through Manchester City in the last 8. They had to go through Bayern Munich, as I've just said, in the semi-final. And they won against Juve. It doesn't get as hard as that. It doesn't get harder than those 4 teams. Arsenal, Man City, Bayern, Juve. One of the greatest runs of all time. And that's why for me, the 2014-2015 Barcelona team is in top 10 greatest teams of all time. It's undebatable. Anyway, let me know what you think. Tell me, do you think they're too high? I don't think so, and I'm gonna fight for it. I think they're rightly placed. Comment down below. Remember to subscribe to the channel at We Talk Football 24 on YouTube and on Instagram. Look us up on Facebook as well at We Talk Football. I might just watch that game again. I just might. But anyway, have yourselves a nice weekend. Awareness.